I'd known Craig. I met him in 1983, and I worked at CNN with him. We had many moments, sometimes good, fun, almost a moment where we nearly came to blows on South Beach discussing the Heisman Trophy. I think that was when Adrian Peterson, I said, was the best player in college football, but because he was a sophomore, was not going to win the Heisman. Something had to change. Craig with beer in hand, me with beer in hand, and Paulie trying to separate both of us as cooler heads prevailed. But knowing Segs, and he just got inducted into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame, they'd asked me to have a couple of comments that they used in a collection of interviews about Craig and his impact on the business. Seger was the same guy every single day I met him. I never saw him in a different mood other than upbeat, which is pretty remarkable. And they asked me what's my favorite memory of Craig. And actually, it was around 3 in the morning. He had a bar in Atlanta called Jocks and Jills. And I think the street was 10th Street. And I remember we had a couple of beverages. And at one point, Seger got a bicycle and was riding up and down 10th Street in his underwear and had nothing else on. And I just remember him he was smiling as he was doing it. He was always in a good mood. And he looked at the positive side of sports, always. There was nothing negative. There's sort of, Tim Kirchin is this way at the mothership with baseball, always looking for the positives. And Segs was always looking for the positive side of something, of someone. Instead of, if he was digging for dirt, it was actually dirt that actually was going to have something bloom from it. That's just the way he did what he did. He had a way of asking a tough question without it feeling like it was a punch to your jaw. And that's unique. That's hard to do. We did some interviews with him on the program. Those interviews will be up at danpatrick.com. We'll bring back some of the comments that he had to this show. But I said, people are going to focus on your wardrobe and not what you're doing. I said, does that concern you? And he goes, well, you sound like my dad. But people would talk about Seger in what he was wearing. And I said, listen to what he's getting from somebody. Because the wardrobe is his personality, but he still had to do his job. He had to ask questions. And what Seger was able to do that was really underrated is he would get an answer. He was going to get something from somebody. If it's Shaq or Kevin Garnett or Greg Popovich, he was going to ask something. He was very curious and ask it in a way that it felt like it was sort of unassuming, but he was getting to the point of what he needed to ask. And he wanted an answer because he was a fan. If you go back to when Hank Aaron hit his home run, 715th home run, Seger in the white trench coat at home plate with a little recorder. He was working out of Florida, a small radio station. Somehow wanted to be there for the moment. One of the greatest moments, iconic moments in sports history. Seger's there at home plate in his white trench coat. He wanted to be part of the action. He liked being around athletes and coaches. He liked being at the ballpark. He liked being at the stadium. He'll be missed.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.